With the Utah Hockey Club, does this team have an issue when playing at home?
And can our Utah Hockey Club make a push to the playoffs?
All right, so let's go ahead and break down a little bit about your Utah Hockey Club. First one here that we're going to talk about. We have a couple subjects we want to jump into on this one. First, before we get into it, I do want to talk about something that kind of concerned me while we were off a little bit there, which is a deadline of December 10th. A kind of a soft deadline. We'll get into what it is here in a minute, but there was a jersey deadline for your Utah Hockey Club this in December.
Yeah.
So they were required by December 10th to submit designs. So generally, when you're submitting a new design to the NHL, it's an 18-month process. It usually begins in April and isn't finalized to the following season, right? Due to the nature with all of a sudden relocation of Utah and everything being thrown together in this NHL season in a span of 5 months, Utah was kind of given some extra time in that area, right? However, that being said, Utah's deadline is approaching, and things are going to be more permanent for them moving forward. I have some quotes here that I want to get to, but before we get into that, this is something I want to ask you though. Everybody's talking about how the jersey deadline and everything and how that's important. One thing that people may not be realizing is we're supposed to know by the beginning of next season what the new team name and the new team mascot's going to be.
Absolutely.
So if we're designing the jerseys for next season now, and we're already kind of past that soft deadline, does that mean the Utah Hockey Club team already knows
100%.
who it's going to be?
100%.
And so is Fanatics working on a jersey now that's got Yeti across the chest? You know, like what is that what's going on? Or are we going to have, because I do have some quotes here from the team there from Armstrong about making some slight adjustments to our current classic uniforms to support Utah and all that. And that might just all be PR type stuff. But I don't know, man. What do you think?
I think that they absolutely already know the team name. Ryan Smith owns the obviously owned Qualtrics, right? And that was the program that they used to take all the polls.
Yeah.
And the reason that you polled the way that they did is so that they could get a quick decision on the most popular name in all of these. You know what I mean? They ran it by. I don't know. One thing that I had read when I was researching this was there was potentially some copyright issues with the name, and that was one thing they were trying to figure out was copyright issues before they could actually legally announce it, because they have to own the copyright before they can say it's Utah Hockey Club, or you know what I mean? Like they owned Utah Hockey Club
or whatever, yeah,
or Yeti.
So basically, what you're saying is that's kind of a slip right there. He kind of showed his hand that they already know what the mascot name is, because all the other statements basically make it sound like he's just redesigning the Utah logo. He's playing it safe. But if we're supposed to know, because that would make any sense, why would you have a team name and then have the jerseys not match the new team name?
Exactly.
That wouldn't make any sense.
Well, and you're not going to change the whole color scheme because everyone's been buying, you know what I mean? Like I don't feel like I feel like we'll see if Yeti is the one that they get figured out. I feel like you will see Yeti in this exact same color scheme. Mm-hmm. I think you might even see some Utah, you know what I mean? Just Utah across the chest like it is.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably have some alternate jerseys that have a Yeti on them or whatever. But I feel like you're probably going to see a combination of jerseys next season that will include the new mascot as well as our previous Utah Hockey Club kind of designs.
It would just be easy to throw a patch of what the mascot is on the arm.
And that's kind of exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
That'd be kind of lame, but that's probably what's going to happen. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. We'd like to hear from you folks. Let us know in the comments down below what you think on that. We do have somebody in the chat there. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Greg Hawkins. That's the first time that's ever happened.
What does it say? That is
a $9.99 super chat, our very first super chat ever in channel history.
Wow. Thanks, Greg.
What
a guy.
Legend.
Yeah.
So that says, okay, let's go ahead and throw it up on the screen here so I can see it a little bit better. Oh, God, it's going to be Yeti, isn't it? You know what? That was the most popular one that was pulled. I'm not sure.
And it's crazy because a lot of the players have been caught in the media saying it's going to be Yeti.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I heard Yeti was pretty popular. I mean, even Armstrong was caught in the media saying, you know, Yeti seems pretty popular. Like, and maybe they're just watching the same articles. Very unlikely that those guys are just basing it off articles. they're being told what the internal polls are, in my opinion.
Oh, I'm sure. I think
Yeah.
Armstrong actually broke that a little bit too on the draft day. I think he's like, the team name, whatever, Yeti, whatever it's going to be. I'm like, you know exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so first of all, fantastic. Thank you very much, Greg, for our first official channel super chat. That is super cool. Thank you. It says here, I like to super chat and support the shows I enjoy. Well, I deeply appreciate that, Greg. That was
and we appreciate you tuning in, because it's always more fun when you're on the show with us.
Absolutely. Absolute legend. Much appreciated. Thank you very much, Greg. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's a channel milestone right there.
Yeah,
We've never done
one.
that before.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm more partial to the Mammoth over Yeti. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. And it'd have to be singular, not plural.
Is there a plural for mammoth?
Mammoths, for me, like when it comes to something like the Mammoth or the Outlaw or any of these things, it needs to be singular, not plural.
Yeah.
So
I actually liked Outlaw a lot too.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
The Utah Outlaw. Yeah.
I really thought it should have been the Utah Raptor. It's a perfect fit.
I liked Raptor
because that's usually.
I think Yeti was probably my least favorite, but I think that every 10-year-old that has a phone and could be polled was polling Yeti, because they're like, oh, Yeti, that's a cool name. You can spell it.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
That's true. It's very.
Don't listen to me.
Once again, Greg, appreciate it. Thanks for jumping in the comments there. We love to keep it coming, man. Keep it coming. Thank you for the super chat. That was awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the other topics we want to talk about the Utah Hockey Club. The first one would be, this one's yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and break into Utah Hockey Club. They're obviously having some issues at home. So Utah Hockey Club currently holds a home record of 5 wins, 7 losses, and 4 overtime losses. Their road record is actually much better, with 12 wins, 8 losses, and 3 overtime losses. So this is kind of surprising to me, because Utah sports teams are kind of infamous for providing an excellent home crowd, always supporting our home teams, right? So why do you think they're struggling, and what do you think we can do to fix it in the future?
So I want to start with a quote from Coach Tarigny. He's like, we want to do too much.
Yeah.
We get emotional real quickly. The frustration is easier to get under our skin. We would love to play with the same energy level of our fans. He continues to say that. So I think that effort is there. The love is there. We just need to find a way to stay a little bit more composed and be a little bit more even keel, and to get the deal done. It's not. This is from Sergachev. It's not like we're not trying. I think the fans see that we are not giving up ever. We're coming out hitting, going strong, skating well. That's coming from Sergachev there. So my first thought is maybe the team is just committing way too many penalties at home versus on the road. They're getting way too emotional, getting in front of themselves, and just making mistakes. Right? Well. My first thought was that, and as it comes out, I was completely wrong. They have 264 penalty minutes on the road and only 152 at home.
A lot less at home.
Less at home. So that's not it. Outside of Clayton Keller, everybody at home is playing under their average, though. That was something that jumped out to me.
Yeah.
So everything across the board, they're just playing not as well at home as they are on the road. Points percentage is over 10% higher on the road. Power play percentage is over 8% higher on the road. Goals per game is over 3% higher on the road but under at home. The PK percentages, which are the power play kills that we have, is 9% better on the road. The shots on goal and the shots on goal against are both 2% better on the road than they are at home. So just across the board, all the stats are massively better on the road than they are at home. And it's not just like a little fluke here and there. All the players, with the exception of Clayton Keller, they all perform way below their average at home and play above their average on the roads.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, saves are very similar. On the home and roads, that save percentage is still relatively fluid. I believe it's 86% on the road and 84% at home. So that's not really the issue. There's a couple things I thought was interesting. One was by SLC Puck that I found on Reddit r/Utah Hockey. He thinks that they are just having a hard time not being too excited at home.
Yep.
That they want to perform well for the fan base that has embraced them early. And that's a good point. I mean, on their best day at home, they had what, 5,000 fans, 6,000 fans at Arrowhead Stadium.
5,500.
Yeah,
was the most because they were playing at Arizona State.
Yeah, in
a college arena
or whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there's definitely something to that. So now they're playing. I mean, some of the eyesight sidelines aren't great.
Right.
They're little. Some of them are obstructed, but you're talking about even on a over 9,000 fans every single game, waiting for something to be excited about. So they definitely feel that pressure. One thing he did make a joke of, and I actually think there's a little bit more to it than this. He kind of cracked a joke on it on SLC Puck, but how the locker rooms are a little bit too sterile, too clean, and too techy. It doesn't feel like a home. It's not. They don't feel at home there. And if a locker room feels like an Apple store, you're worried about knocking something over and breaking it. It's really hard to feel like you're at home in your own locker room. That will cause you to be a little bit more uptight, a little bit on edge. I don't know if there's any truth to that or not, but there is something to that. So I'm thinking that it's more about that. It's more about the psychology behind it. It's all more about the players being in their own head. On the road, they know what they need to do to take the crowd out of the game.
Yep.
And at home, they just don't have the ability to do that because they want to perform for the team that has supported them, and they feel the pressure to do so. And I just think it's going to take time for them to get past that.
Yeah.
One outside narrative that I do want to see get squashed, because I really don't like this idea. This is something that's been debunked by a lot of the players already, but it's something that is passing through a lot of the talking heads out there, is that the narrative that the team isn't doing well at home is because they don't want to be here. They'd rather be playing in Arizona.
That is 100% not the reason.
Yeah.
No, I think transitioning to the Delta Center, definitely has its own challenges, right? Just you're adapting to a brand new playing surface, and just really, I think there's a lot of pressure associated with establishing a home ice advantage. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like knowing teams can come in and they're going to have to listen to this rowdy Delta Center crowd, and you have a lot. It takes a lot to acclimate to these changes, and I think that's absolutely going to affect the performance of these guys every single time they're out on the ice. It's emotional, it's compositional. And I think it kind of leads to like an overexertion that it can cause mistakes. You know what I mean? Like these guys are just lacking composure during crucial game moments. You know what I mean? Like there was a game against just recently, just a few weeks ago, or within the last week or so, against the Colorado Avalanche, where a defensive misalignment causes a late go-ahead goal and they lose a game at home. Like, that's a situation that just absolutely can't happen, to have a defensive breakdown in a really, really critical moment. Then next to that, you just got some inconsistent offensive production, and these guys have just really struggled. I do think they'll get better, and I do think that this team has a chance to be really successful at home, because we are great at supporting our home teams.
Absolutely. 100% agree on that. 100% agree. We also have Greg Hawkins jumping in here. I'd take Utah Hockey Club over Yeti. Actually, you know what? Utah Hockey Club, Utah HC has definitely grown on me as a name.
I agree too. I didn't like it when it started, but I actually, it's kind of come to.
Yeah, it's come to be a little bit more familiar. I will say this: if the NHL or ESPN does not change the Utah/Utah on their breakdowns, when you look at the team stats, everybody else has the state, the city, and then the team name, and we just have Utah/Utah. How hard is it to say Utah/Hockey Club or Utah/HC? Come on, ESPN, you're better than that. Anyway, that's my own personal thing there. So that plays kind of right into what we want to talk about next, is break down some kind of important information that's coming down. Not important information, but a very important, critical month that we got coming up here. This plays right into that, as we are considering what most are considering this to be a make or break month for the Utah Hockey Club. They have a 7-game homestand. Only 2 of them are against playoff teams.
Yeah.
So it's time to do some damage. Utah is sitting at 41 points right now, which the top 7 teams in the Western Conference, for those of you who don't follow hockey that close, make it to the playoffs. Right now, Utah is sitting 10 points behind Colorado, who is sitting at 51 points. Question to you, AJ. Do you think this team makes the NHL playoff?
I actually do think this team has a good chance to make a playoff run. One of the key players is in the offseason, we signed John Marino. And he's been sidelined for the majority of the season with a kind of a long-term injury. He is potentially set to be back in the coming weeks, which is a huge impact to our defensive line that we have really, really struggled with this year. Right, we've given up a lot of goals. Having John Marino back is going to help us a ton, and that could help us push. The next things that we really need is we need Captain Clayton Keller, right? I mean, this dude's a leading scorer. He's got 39 points on 14 goals and 25 assists. We need his leadership and his offensive production to just keep pushing, right? He's got to come in. They're just vital to this team's success. That's all there is to it. He's that guy for us. He needs to keep showing up. Dylan Gunther he's leading the team with 16 goals right now. And his depth on offense out there, he takes a lot of that kind of pressure off of Clayton Keller because they play together a lot.
Right.
And we need him to kind of keep being out there. Logan Cooley's another player that we really need. I mean, yeah, he's only a second year guy, but he's just, when he's playing alongside Keller and Gunther, these guys are they're deadly, right? They've had such a good season to kind of open it up. And then the biggest portion of this whole thing is going to be goaltending.
Right.
Karel Vejmelka has been great. Connor Ingram obviously struggled early, but we need these guys to be consistent and reliable. Just keep doing what they do. This team will be just fine. Again, getting some defensive help back is going to help. Getting Marino and all of these guys collectively can keep pushing and get us into the playoffs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Especially with this homestand, I think with 5 of the teams sitting outside the playoff picture as it sits right now, it's a really good time to kind of get in there and make some noise and kind of make up the difference and try to break this narrative. It may lose a couple at home, but I do see this coming out of this homestand with a winning record, either 5-2 or at the worst 4-3, but hopefully kind of moving us up in points there. Exactly to your point there, they do need to make some adjustments there with Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther. While Gunther's leading in points, in goals, we need to see them, the other two, Logan Cooley and Gunther, keep it up a little bit more and keep up the offensive production. And so it's not just all sitting on Clayton Keller on both sides, on both sides, home and away, when playing out there on the ice. So 100% agree with you there. And I definitely think they make the playoffs because now's the time to do it, man.
Yep.
They got the games and they're all at home. And I know we just talked about they're having struggles at home, but I think this is the time they break that narrative. Yep.
They got the support. We're cheering for them. We're excited to see them play.
Absolutely. Before we jump into before we move on, folks, we do want to talk to you about Utah Hockey DNA. This is a channel that we created specifically for your Utah Hockey Club. That link to that channel will be in the description below. If you are watching this on the Utah Hockey DNA channel, we are giving away one of those sick Utah Hockey Club jerseys once this channel hits 1,000 subscribers. So if you have not yet, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that giveaway. Really, really appreciate it. And like I said, if you're watching this on our main channel, DNA Sports Recap, a link to that channel will be below.